Hey everybody, how's it going? Pavel here with DIT Media, and today we're going to be talking about a very important piece of equipment that you can actually build quite cheaply for yourself. And of course, today I'm going to be talking about the media carts or grip carts or camera carts or film carts, or they have many names. But at the end of the day, basically, it's literally a cart that carries a bunch of your equipment. Now, there are companies out there such as Innovative and Magliner, as well as Jaeger, as well as certain others that manufacture these carts and sell them as a business. However, the growing pain of owing those carts, and several friends of mine do have them, is the fact that the initial investment is about $4,000 per cart. Some of those you can get, maybe for $2,000. If you're lucky, you can maybe find one used. Magliners can run anywhere between like $1,700. Used ones, you can maybe pick them up for $1,500, $1,600, but they're really difficult to find, especially today in this day and age, because most of those things are made with steel or aluminum, and that stuff has not really been available that much, or even if it is available, it's much more expensive than it was 2-3 years ago because of reasons I'm sure you are aware of. So what does that leave us with if we do want to have a production cart, but we maybe don't want to spend that much money? Maybe we don't care about certain features that those carts have, such as, for example, being able to raise and lower shelves, or have, fancy accessories for mounting lights and monitors and stuff like that. What if all we want is a cart that can be either rolled around the studio, or if you have a big enough car or a van, for example, basically you need a van to transport these at least. If you just want to have your equipment on there, so when you go on a job, you can just roll them out and go straight in. Well, I've kind of struggled with that question, and I found the answer this year because I finally upgraded to a cargo van, so I can actually fit both of these carts in there. And originally, I actually did contemplate getting an Innovative cart, and I actually found two on B-Stock on Innovative's website, but those things would still run me with taxes, shipping, some additional features that I wanted, $3,000 a piece. Now that's $6,000. That is a lot of money for a cart. And granted, they are beautiful carts and they are fantastically built, really good quality stuff. It's a pleasure to work with. But $6,000 is $6,000, and there's a lot of other equipment that I'm sure you and I can both buy for $6,000. So the alternative that I found have been these guys, and these are carts that each one of these, all in with all the stuff that I put and added to them, all in were roughly about $250 a pop. Okay? So it's $500 for two of these carts. Somebody do the math, but I can literally build like 12 of these for the price of 2 Innovative carts. Now granted, they don't have certain features that Innovatives have, once again, but they get the job done. And if one of these breaks, I can just go buy another one, and that's it. It doesn't cost me that much money. So these are the original base of the cart is actually I got at Harbor Freight, and they were $140 a piece. Now, you could not order them online. You had to go to your local store for those because there's been actually a shortage of these too. The alternatives, however, to these, Home Depot sells them, Lowe's, they got Rubbermaid carts, even though Rubbermaid carts can sometimes run about $500 per cart, especially if you want the middle shelf. They can be more expensive. Harbor Freight was basically the cheapest option possible for me to find something that would work for right now. And so the base was $140. I've obviously changed all the wheels because original wheels are just not suitable for the type of work or the type of terrain that I usually work in. Even though it's mostly offices, sometimes you got to go on the grass, you got to go on gravel, stuff like that. The original casters for these carts are just not good for that. So what I did is I replaced them all with 8-inch pneumatic casters. And I got the swivel ones on the back of the cart, and I put the straight ones on the front of the cart, so I can basically I can control where the cart goes from the back where I'm driving. And I've done both carts. I've done with 8 of those casters total, and the casters cost $16 a piece, so multiply that by 8, let's say $120 for the casters. So the other thing that I've added to both of these carts were middle shelves, because neither one of these came with a middle shelf. Middle shelf is literally just a pine board about 1/2 inch thick from Home Depot that I've basically stapled carpet on top of to keep them nice and soft so that we don't have any splinters and stuff like that. And I literally wedged them in there and secured them on both sides with a metal bar. And on top of both carts, on the actual shelves, instead of having exposed plastic, I've bought same carpet, the whole roll at Home Depot for like $25. It's the thinnest, crappiest carpet that they have, but it's perfect for this application because all I want is just some padding on the actual cart so that, I don't scratch my equipment, stuff, it looks nicer, it's just better. So the whole roll cost me like $27. So basically for the grand total of like $500, I got 2 of these carts. So basically the anatomy of both of these carts is essentially very simple. So most of the stuff that I use, I pretty much nailed the package that I use in most of my shoots because I work in corporate sphere. So most of those shoots are relatively the same. Now, it is not to say that there are no differences from shoot to shoot, but the key package that I'm using on all of those is relatively the same. So I have on top shelves on both carts are my lighting instruments. So I have my 600D aperture, I got my 300D aperture, I got ballasts for both of those lights, cords, clamps that hold all that stuff together. I got regular reflectors right up here. I also have my Nanlite Forza 60B with a 36-degree lens, which I use for basically, either lighting anything and putting a slash on the back because it has that LiCo adapter with it, which is really, really convenient and cool. You guys, maybe I should make a video about this actually later on. I also have my Nanlite Pavo tubes on here, some Cinefoil, my alligator clamps, 1-inch and 2-inch on this side. I also have, for an HMI fixture, I have all of my lenses and barn doors and scrims. Yes, we still do use those lights, by the way. LED hasn't taken over completely yet. As well as my softbox adapters. Over here, I got some Allen wrenches, screwdriver, really handy to have, baby C47s, some triplet splitters for the AC, talent markers, and I also have an additional VCT tripod plate in case we need to pull out an additional tripod. I just like to have that handy. Now, I also have added, I went to literally a restaurant supply store, and I've bought this trough, which that's what it's called in a film business. But it was actually in a restaurant supply store, and they call it speed rail, which for us speed rail means something completely different, but that's what they were calling this thing. And it's basically a 32-inch trough, which I've put additional chargers and some baby pins and an additional small light panel and stuff like that. That thing cost me like $40. Again, Innovative charges you $250 for the thing half this size. So highly recommend you check it out. You can bolt it into the cart. It is sturdy plastic. I, however, didn't want to bolt it in, so I actually wedged it in this groove right here, which holds it together, and I also attached a Mayfair clamp to it that really holds it in place. It's not gonna move. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I did not want this thing to be completely bolted on in case this cart doesn't fit through the door. I want to have the ability to take it off. These are basically Aperture's Mayfair clamps that I have on here that I keep all the cords to the lights because they have this nice little hinge, which I use literally for hanging cords, and it's attached to my ballasts. Some J-hooks with Mayfair clamps. Again, you can attach these to the side of the cart. If you're carrying just a single C-stand, you can put a C-stand on the side of the cart and carry it that way as well. Now, speaking of C-stands and light stands and stuff like that, that is the other thing that was important to me, is to have all of my, again, main instruments and main accessories readily available. And that's what I have on this bottom shelf right here. which I have all of my light stands and my gobo arms, as well as some beefy light stands all the way in the back there. And there's a total of 8 light stands, 4 regular and 4 beefy, with all the gobo arms as well ready to go. So in case basically I have enough light stands and gobo arms in there that I can set up all of my lights, which I rarely need to set all of them up, but I can if I need to. I can also use those as basically instead of a C-stand, I can put like a gobo arm on it, throw diffusion on it, or whatever I need. So again, it is ready, available to me to use. So why did I want to add a third shelf? Well, what if I need some more stuff? Stuff that does not necessarily need like to have a shelf that has walls on it that I can just kind of throw on there, okay? So over on this shelf, actually, right here, I have my comms package. I have my Fresnel adapter for the 300. You can also use this on 120Ds and some other stuff. I also have, what else do I have in there? Oh yeah, my mat box in the cases. So basically, everything that sits on a middle shelf, I kind of keep it in the case so that it doesn't go all over the place. And it's, you know, it's protected if it falls off, stuff like that. But usually the casters are really big enough that even if you are going on a rough terrain, the cart doesn't really go all over the place. Like, it's actually very, very stable, which is why you want those 8-inch or 10-inch even pneumatic casters. Most of innovative cars, as well as Magliners, they use either an 8-inch or a 10-inch pneumatic caster. So it's important to have this stuff. Now, some other things that I have here that is really convenient. Again, I have my HDMI, my Ethernet, as well as my SDI cord. They are literally attached to this bar, which came with the cart, and they are attached with this big carabiner that I bought at Home Depot for $7. Same goes for my XLR cords, which are right here, and the gaff tape and stuff like that is attached with a regular cord with a carabiner here as well. So all of the stuff, when I'm going on a shoot, it's all ready to go. It's all prepped. I don't have to go to the truck. I don't have to pull out some cart. It's all ready to go. It saves an insane amount of time when you are on a shoot. So on a second cart here, basically what we have is some more lighting instruments. So I got my Nova 300. I also have my Braun Cobalt 400 HMI light, which is really handy to have because it's just got enough of a punch where if I need to bounce it off of something, it still is a pretty strong source that can provide some additional lighting if I need it. And then on the back here, essentially I got my lights for the Nova, which are, again, I have secured with the same Mayfair clamp that Aputure makes, and I put all my cords there. Stingers and more stingers. You can never have too many stingers, people. Go to Home Depot, get yourself some stingers. Really good stuff to have. So, and on this side, basically on the bottom shelf, I got some diffusion, I got some sandbags. Not all of my sandbags are here right now. I got my, what I call the quad drum, which is basically a 15-footer stinger with already 4 plugs available to go. And this is a small case that I actually have that has all the Mayfair clamps and some more Mayfair clamps. It has Cardellini clamps and some additional clamps and grip stuff that, you know, sometimes is handy to have. So I keep that all on the cart again, ready to go and available. I've also added this thing of Velcro here because sometimes you just, you know, maybe an audio tech or somebody, maybe you don't have space on the cart and they just need to put their transmitters and stuff away. They can just, if they got Velcro on it, they can just put it to the side of the cart. It's not gonna fall off, it's gonna stay safe there. Or whatever, your Teradeks or wireless transmitters, whatever you got that has Velcro, you can just attach it to this. I got my grid cloth for my, not grid cloth, but my grid for the Pavo tube that I have. Multi-tool, Mayfair clamp, some additional stuff here. Got a wrench for the wheels because it has, you know, regular bolts. Sometimes they need to be tightened up. Got that. This thing is really cool and I highly recommend everybody check it out. But basically this Home Depot Husky brand, really handy toolbox that actually has drawers. So you can actually open it up, it stays secure, you know, got these clamps, and stuff is not gonna rattle. You know, it also got, you know, you can lift it up and take it with you. And it basically, you open it up and it has drawers. So I keep my color meter, some additional cables, spare bulbs for the HMI light. And over here, I got my pliers, PL adapters, baby pins, batteries, my in-ear monitors, some additional stuff for mounting monitors, you know, lens support, stuff like that. You can really customize these however you want. It's really handy to have. And then basically on the bottom here, once you lift this, this is where I keep my battery adapters, my plates, my Anton Bauer to V-mount adapter, V-mount to Sony EL mount, some additional spare parts, things like that. And again, this also has a handle. You can take this by itself. Okay. And again, middle shelf essentially in this cart is generally used for, I got my gels. So I got my, basically my Plus Green, I got CTO, I got NDs, I have my diffusion cloth, I got my Opal, I got my regular frost, I have bounce cloth on here, all ready to go. This is my Pavotube 4-footer, which fits on this middle shelf really, really nicely. I'm gonna actually rearrange this a little bit because I frankly don't think I need, this is a little bit of an overkill, but again, that's what I'm saying. This is sort of a finished version of the cards because these things are really never finished. You're constantly modifying them. You're constantly doing something to make it better, to fit this shoot better, that shoot better. The more you do this, the more you go on shoots and stuff, you discover things that you like, you discover things you don't like. So the point of these things is to really kind of get the job done, and then you can modify them however you want. So again, on the side, same trough with held by Mayfair, as well as the pressure from this actual lip. Got a Joby tripod, never know when, you know, you need to stick a camera in some tight spot. I got my power cord for the HMI. I got my plate with the pin adapter, as well as male and female, as well as, you know, this battery flash mount that you can actually use for really anything. And then, you know, some more sandbags and stuff like that. So basically, these carts are really, really versatile, and they make my job a lot easier. Now, obviously, you're gonna ask, well, what about the camera? What about monitors? What about, you know, sound equipment, yada, yada? Well, there's a reason that these are not the only carts I use. In conjunction with these two carts, I'm actually using a rock and roller cart as well, because things like camera, sound, etc., change from shoot to shoot. Because as I said, you know, this package here basically doesn't really change, but the camera setup changes because different shoots require different cameras. Audio setup changes because sometimes I provide the audio, sometimes I actually need to hire an audio tech because, you know, it just makes life easier. Please hire audio techs. People, tell your clients to hire audio techs. They make life so much better. And also the other thing is on this middle shelf is also where I put my tripod, which is also really convenient because I can just put my sticks up there. They just stay there. It's great. And some additional stuff that I might need on a shoot necessarily doesn't need to live on the cart full time. It might live in my studio most of the time. And when I need it, I pull it out. When I don't need it, it just stays here. And that's what I use the rock and roller for. So basically, I put two of these, I roll them up in my van, and then I add whatever other cases with monitors, like my Flanders or my Sumo. I add, you know, audio kit, I add additional lens kit. Those things are also something that, you know, I usually bring, either they stay in my studio or I bring them to my house for safety reasons. And so I can leave these two carts on a truck, lock up the truck, and take all the really expensive, really fancy stuff back home with me. So yeah, I highly recommend you guys explore this as a possibility because you have no idea how much easier your life is gonna be once you actually have one of these carts. And I really didn't realize how much difference it made until I started working with somebody who has two of these guys, and we would just go on a shoot and it takes us literally less than 2 minutes to unload, which is insane. Because, and I will make a video about a grip van later, but essentially being able to just put these things in a van, drive up to a shoot, and roll them out and be ready to go is a fantastic time saver, and it also, you know, makes you look good. Clients kind of like that sort of thing. So yeah, even if you just have a studio and you're looking for maybe a DIT setup, or if you, let's say you're a photographer and you're shooting a lot of stuff, you know, tethered, if you don't really have a cart yet, or you don't want to spend the kind of money that companies like Magliner, Jaeger, or Innovative charge, this is a really, really, really solid option. And sure, it doesn't look all fancy. It doesn't have all the innovative bells and whistles. It doesn't have the baby pins. It doesn't have this and that, even though you can add that, by the way. You can totally add that to these. You know, it gets the job done. And even, you know, if you are a DIT and you need, you know, portable station, if you're an audio tech, I've seen a lot of audio tech guys using Rubbermaid carts and these plastic carts like these, modified with proper wheels, just like I did, all the time. And it, you know, it saves you money, it saves you time, and I think it's a really, really good investment, especially when you consider that, again, to build something like this is only $250, and just some of your time, obviously, to make it work. So yeah, highly recommend this. Again, if you have, you know, other carts and stuff like that, I am more than willing to hear what you got down in the comments below. If you have any questions about how I rigged any of this, how it was built, how much time it took, all the nitty-gritty stuff, please leave all of those in the comments down below. And I'm looking to see you guys in the next video.